I just sold some stocks. What is happening, investors? It is your boy Jack. I am not a financial advisor. I got the hoodie to prove it. And this week, I sold some stocks. Generally, on a Friday, I make a video bringing you guys through everything that I bought in the week. This week, I bought 2 companies. I bought 20 more shares in Diamond Peak Holdings, Lordstown Motors at $16 a share. And I picked up 15 shares in Virgin Galactic at $17.17 a share. So, not a big week for buying by any means whatsoever. It was a very good week for the portfolio with the EV stocks doing what they're doing right now. But I didn't add to many positions at all. The video I get requested to make more than any other video without a doubt is a portfolio reveal, and I will be doing that video soon, within the next few weeks more than likely. But right now I am trying to clean up my portfolio. I'm trying to condense it and get out of some of the trades that I'm not as confident in as I may once have been. A lot of you guys may not know this about me. I'm not in the market very long. I'm only in the market about 6 months. And the large majority of my subs have came in the last 2 months, okay? When I've been really into electric vehicles and growth stocks. When I initially started investing, my plan honestly was to be a long-term dividend stock investor. I know, what a change. Then I realized I'm young, I have a really high risk tolerance. I'm not that interested in a 15% every year. I want much more. So in my portfolio still today, there are a few companies that don't really align with my new investing goals. There is money in my portfolio that is not going to work for me to the extent that I expected to. I've said a few times on the channel, I think there are 2 main reasons to sell your stocks. One is if fundamentals change, if something about the company really changes. And the second one is if you think your money could be invested in a better place. And I want to make it very clear from the start, the second reason is why I am selling. There is not necessarily anything wrong with any of the companies that I sold today. If you hold these companies and they fall in line with your investing goals, that's absolutely fine. I do actually think that these are quality companies in general, and they will offer a decent return over a long period of time, but they don't line up with my investing goals personally. So right before we get into the first company of today, can I please ask you to hit that juicy like button, as it really helps me and the channel out so much. I would appreciate it. If you're new around here, hit that juicy red subscribe button, people. It's free. Join the family. And drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the video, I'm sure a lot of you will be in a similar situation. I think a lot of people do start off kind of with that longer term 10 to 15% yearly growth mindset and then realize, you know what? I'm young. I want to go a little bit more aggressive. But anyway, people, let's get into it. So guys, company number 1, Exxon Mobil Corp. A company that absolutely everybody is going to be familiar with. Massive company, massive dividend yield. Everybody knows these guys. So I owned 7.1 shares and I actually sold this company at a loss for €56. All of the companies I sold today, I had very small stakes in. As I said, I was getting into them when I first started investing. I now invest a lot more on a weekly and monthly basis than I did back then. So a €56 loss, who cares? It's nothing. All of the companies I go through today, I did not care what the price was at that moment in time. I did not care if I was in the red or in the green. This should also be a good teaching point. This is what I say to a lot of people who ask me how to start investing. One of my biggest pieces of advice is to actually start with less than you want to, because more than likely you're going to make some mistakes, and more than likely 6 months down the line you're going to have learned an awful lot and you'll have a somewhat different philosophy in regards to investing. And that's exactly what happened with me. So I'm happy that I hadn't invested all that much back then, because now whether I'm selling at a loss or a gain, it was such small positions, it does not really matter. So I don't really want to be involved in oil stocks in general right now. I don't mind a little bit of exposure. I do still have a very small amount of exposure. Exxon was one of the companies I got into when I first started investing because massive dividend yield. But now when we actually look at the 5-year chart, it was bad. It was very bad over the last 5 years. They also just got dumped out of the Dow Jones. Now, do I necessarily think this is a bad hold? No, if you're a long-term dividend investor, Exxon could be giving you a good opportunity right now. At the same time, it literally hasn't been at these price points since pretty much 2004. That is absolutely horrible. If you invested in these guys 16 years ago, you would be down money. Now, you wouldn't really because of all the dividends, but still, you could see that as a good thing because you get to get in at a really good price, or you could see it as a bad thing because the company has performed absolutely terribly. To me, this is one of those companies. I was thinking I was going to be a long-term investor. I see an 8% dividend yield. Happy days. So yeah, I sold at a little bit of a loss. Absolutely fine. 3M stock, okay. I actually do still think this is a good company. I genuinely do, okay. I only had 1.5 shares and I sold at a really small gain. Keep in mind, guys, as well, I invest in euro. The dollar has been getting weaker and weaker over the last while. If we just go back to March, €1 got you $1.07. whereas now €1 gets you $1.18, or it even says here $1.19. And since I invest in euro, that actually affects how much I get back. So if I was investing in dollars, I would have made more, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day anyway. This is also the reason for all of my trading 212 investors that sometimes a stock is above your cost basis and is still appearing in the red. It's because we trade in euros, but the stock's price moves in dollars. At the end of the day, guys, I think 3M's a solid company. But I was looking at it, okay? I had 1.5 share, and I was like, am I actually ever going to put money into this company over my Facebook or my Amazon, my Workhorse, my Hyliion? Would I rather have my money tied up in this company that gives, a relatively safe yield, a decent dividend, and would I rather have that money in a company that I think could grow an awful lot quicker? Also, guys, on the 5-year chart, it's up 13.78%. It's been downtrending since the start of 2018. Honestly, I do think as a long-term hold, it's absolutely fine. I even think it's at good price points. I just don't think it's going to give me the returns that I, as an investor, want. And again, that's going to be a very common theme in this video. I don't necessarily think these are bad companies at all. It's just not where I want my portfolio to be. So that's 3M. Okay, next up we actually have Pembina Pipeline, another massive dividend player, over 7.5%. I sold at a very small loss. And again, I had an absolutely tiny position in the company. And just like with 3M, I was looking at this company and I was saying to myself, is this really where I think the best place to put my money is? And no, there are so many companies I would rather have my money than Pembina Pipeline. 5-year chart, even before the crash happened, they were up 50%. Now that is with an over 7% dividend yield, so it has actually performed decently. And on the max stock chart, there was only one major crash ever, and that was from 2014 to 2016. A lot of you will be aware of political issues that were going on back then in regards to oil, especially in Canada. So look, I think this is a fine company, but again, it just doesn't offer me the growth that I want to see. From a long-term dividend investor's point of view, I still think these are fantastic price points. But again, that's not who I am as an investor. I am still in one oil pipeline related company, Enterprise Product Partners. I only own 13 shares and I am this close to selling out of them, but I haven't brought myself to do it just yet, but I do just want to say that more than likely I will be selling out of them over the next week or so. Again, I do like these guys more than Pembina, but it is what it is. Right, JP Morgan stock. Let me just say that in regards to bank stocks, I think this is one of your safer bets right now. They also had a very nice growth history, a decent dividend. It's your standard bank stock. When it's going good, it's going really good. When it's going bad, it goes really bad. I only had a share and a half. It was a tiny position. And I was just looking at it in my portfolio and I said, am I really going to put money into this company as opposed to another one? And yet again, the answer was no, and I decided to sell. I will still say I'm holding Wells Fargo. It is the worst performing stock in my portfolio by an absolute long shot, and my mind is not yet made up on whether or not I want to sell that or hold it or even potentially add to it. Thankfully, it's a very small position at only 12.5 shares, so I'm not too worried either way. But again, guys, it's just a company, doesn't fall in line with what I want to get from my investments. That is the most important thing to take from this video. And guys, then we have Realty Income Corp, and let me just say, I still think this is honestly offering a very good opportunity, especially for a dividend investor. I do see this company having a very good 5 to 10 years. I think it'll be relatively safe. I think your money will be fine and you'll make decent money every single year. This is one that I did struggle with. I was very tempted to hold. I owned 4 shares, okay? And I said to myself, either I'm selling this or I'm doubling up my position. That's how I know if I'm willing to invest in this company. That was the day that I invested in Diamond Peak. And I just thought to myself, look, Diamond Peak literally just did in 2 days what Realty Income will probably do in a year and a half, 2 years. And that is my thought process right now. So with that, I decided to sell. It still is my favorite REIT. I still do think it's a fantastic investment for a long-term dividend investor though. Out of all the companies that I sold, this was the one I had to put the most thought into by far. So guys, that's it. I'm selling some stocks. Always want to be super transparent on this channel, show you when I'm buying companies, when I'm doing well, when I'm doing bad, and ultimately show you when I decide to sell. My goal still is long-term investing. Even with the kind of plays I'm in right now, I mean, our Neos, our Hyliions, our Teslas, our Workhorses, all of which, are prone to really big spikes. I have not once sold any of those companies. Virgin Galactic, when that went on a crazy run, I did not trim positions, I did not sell anything. So I want to make it clear that I did not sell any of these companies because I made money or lost money. It is literally just because my philosophies have changed and the kind of investor I want to be has changed. I'm trying hard to trim certain positions down in my portfolio. I don't want to have 20, 30 plus companies in there. Right now we're sitting at about 23 and my goal is to get that below 20 before I decide to do this portfolio reveal. But that video is on the way, people, don't you worry. But anyway guys, there we are. That was just a little update on what I did this week. I did also, as I said earlier on in the video, buy more Lordstown Motors, which has done done incredibly since then, and I bought some more Virgin Galactic because it's a company I believe in the long term, that, you know, not a lot of news is coming out about, there's not much hype, so this is kind of, to me, the perfect time to buy. But that is that, people. It is okay if you make poor decisions. No, it's not okay, actually. It is going to happen. Even the best investors in the world make bad decisions. Warren Buffett sold airlines right before a massive run-up. Big names on YouTube have made really poor decisions over the last 6 months. You are not going to be any different. You are going to make some terrible investments, and I believe that is a fact. It is okay. It is all part of the learning process, and that's why I said earlier on in the video, if you are relatively new to investing, okay, I really do advise you to invest less than you want to, because when the time comes in 6 months or a year or whenever it is that you finally have a philosophy that you yourself are really happy with, you finally have an investment strategy that you are really happy with, there will be less mess. There will be less stocks you have to sell at either a small loss or a small gain. There will be less restructuring and rebalancing you will have to do in your portfolio, and you will have more cash on hand, which means that you can just invest more in the companies that you actually believe in and know for a fact you will hold for the long term or until fundamentals change. So just a couple of little pieces of advice there, guys, okay? Don't feel like you need to go all in on the stock market, because more often than not, that is a bad decision. I have slowly but surely been getting more aggressive with my investing, but I am still very cash heavy, people. But anyway, guys, if you have watched until the end of the video, as always, you, my friend, are a true legend, and I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. If you did enjoy and you haven't yet, can I please ask you to hit that like button, drop me a comment, and subscribe if you're new around here, because those things help me out so much. I hope that you all have an absolutely fantastic day. I will see you for tomorrow's videos. Peace.